I have a pork loin in the refrigerator. I've got my Weber Kettle fired up. So today we're going to be making some brown sugar pecan pork loin. Brown sugar pecan pork loin. Are you thinking that the pecan refers to the wood we might use to smoke it? Nope, we're not using pecan wood today. We're using actual pecans in the rub. So let's get started on that rub. So what I'm starting with here are 2 tablespoons of pecans. Now these are dry roasted, unsalted pecans that I ground up in my spice grinder. If you do the same thing in your spice grinder, don't do it too much because then it begins to get too pasty. A little bit of pastiness is fine, but you don't want it to get all clumped together. Then we're gonna add 5 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 teaspoon of cracked black pepper, and just throw a little on your cutting board if you miss too. And 1 teaspoon of paprika. And I first just want to kind of mix this together with a fork to get those pieces of pecan, that ground up pecan, mixed in before we shake this. Because as I said, it does have a little bit of a pastiness to it when you process it. You're releasing some of those oils. Even though they're dry roasted, they're going to retain a little bit of moisture. Just going to put my lid on and give this a good shake. Let's give this a little taste. That is really, really good. Those ground up pecans add such a great flavor to this. So this is ready. Let's get our pork loin out here and get it rubbed up. All right, so here's what we're working with today. About a 4-pound pork loin, and we are just gonna rub this up. Wanna get a really good coating of our rub on here. Boy, you can actually smell the pecans in the air here. Make sure you get the ends, the sides. Now, you notice I didn't use a binder on it. I've said it many times. I generally don't use binders. There's plenty of moisture on this pork loin to hold this. If you feel you need to use a binder, go ahead. It's not going to hurt anything. Let's make sure we got everywhere rubbed on here. Move it around. All right, that's looking good. Now this is going to go into the refrigerator, just sitting on this tray for about an hour to absorb these flavors. And then we're going to get it out to the Weber Kettle, smoke it up. All right, our brown sugar pecan rubbed pork loin's been in the refrigerator for about an hour, and our kettle temp is at 268. Time to get this pork loin on. So I have the Weber Kettle set up with 1 briquette basket today, pretty full. Have my ambient temperature probe, have some foil in the bottom to catch some drips. I'm gonna get my temperature probe here as dead center as I can. Did I mention that my refrigerator is pretty cold? Actually, when it was in the refrigerator on that tray, it was resting on top of a brisket that is thawing, a frozen brisket. So I think it got a little extra cold. That means we are in the right spot there, pretty much dead center. I'm gonna put a piece of cherry wood on here for some smoke today. All right. Let's get our lid on and get smoking. My top vent is in the fully open position, and my bottom vent is in the 2/3 open position. So I'm shooting for a kettle temp of about 250 degrees today. The ultimate internal temperature that we're taking the pork to is 145 degrees, which is safe for pork cuts. But at about 120 degrees internal, we're gonna take that pork loin. We're going to give it a little color by searing it real quickly. Then we'll return it in direct to finish to that 145. So I'll see you back here when we get close to 120. All right, while our brown sugar pecan pork loin is smoking out on the Weber Kettle, we're going to get a honey pineapple drizzle sauce ready for it. This sauce we're going to use right at the end when we've got it in here ready to cut into it. So what I'm starting with here is 3/4 cup of pureed pineapple with juice. All I did was take some chunked pineapple with the juice, put it in the blender and pureed it up, and we're using 3/4 cup here. I'm also adding 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and we're gonna add about 1/4 cup of honey. I'm just gonna mix this up. Once this starts to incorporate and the looser liquids mix with that honey, we're going to go ahead and switch to a whisk. Speed up a little bit here. That's looking good. Let's get a little taste with our spoon. That's really, really nice. That little punch from the pineapple, when you mix it in with the honey, it's got that brightness to it. Really, really good. All right, I'm gonna set this aside. It'll be ready when our pork loin is done. All right, we have just hit 120 degrees internal. Let's go ahead and give this pork loin a nice little sear. Oh, that's looking really good. Let's go ahead and get our temperature probe out temporarily. We just want to give it a little bit of color here. A little bit of extra color. Go ahead and turn it over here. All right, we're going to go ahead and move this back indirect. Go ahead and try and get my temperature probe right back in the same spot. Let's see. And we're showing 125 degrees internal. That looks good to me. We must have hit pretty close to the original spot. Raised about 5 degrees while searing. We've got about 20 degrees to go. Let's go ahead and get our lid on. See you back here when we hit 145. All right, we're showing 144.1 internal, and you can see that the kettle temp raced up a bit after we let all that air in there when we were searing it. No problem there, but we're close enough to 145 now. It's time to check. Wow, that is looking really good. Let's go ahead and get our internal temperature probe out. Let's just go ahead and get a couple confirmation temperatures with the thermopen here. See where we're at. That is showing 143 dead center. End is probably going to be a little more. End is showing about 147, so that is looking good. All right, we're going to get this off, get it inside, tent it with foil, let it rest for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to cut into this and have a taste. All right, here is our brown sugar pecan pork loin, fresh off being smoked on that Weber Kettle. It's been resting for about 15 minutes, and I gotta tell you, it just looks gorgeous. I hope you can see that through the camera. It just is a beautiful color on it. Nothing left to do now but cut in here and see what we've got. And I'm just gonna go straight in the middle here. Let's see. Oh yeah. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful. Now let's cut a slice here. Oh, look at that. Just beautiful color in there. Super moist, super juicy. If you take a pork loin like this to 145 degrees, you're gonna have far less chance of it drying out. This is just really beautiful, really perfect juiciness. And now, you know, on this piece right here, I wanna put a little bit of that drizzle sauce we made. I don't wanna put too much, but can't hurt to have some sauce. So it runs down the side there. That's looking good. Nothing left to do. It's time to taste. All right, I've got a nice piece with sauce on it here. Let's just get all the flavors in the first taste. You know, I was a little concerned that that sauce might be a little too sweet. It's got honey, it's got pineapple and pineapple juice, everything in there, but it's really not. It goes really well with pork. Now, pork does go well with sweeter sauces and things like that. A lot of times people will make a berry sauce that goes on pork loin or pork tenderloin. Those go really well. Gotta say, this honey pineapple drizzle sauce goes great. So now I've got a piece here without any sauce on it. I really want to taste that rub and see how much of that pecan comes through. That is really good. That's a nice nutty flavor from that pecan that's ground up in with that brown sugar. I am very pleased with that. Oh man, the tenderness, the juiciness of this. There's something about pork loin when you give it that short amount of time to smoke on the kettle or any other cooker you have. That only took about 2 hours at between 250 and 275. The temperature ranged up a little bit there, went a little higher than I wanted at 250. It didn't hurt this at all. Pork loin can handle that as long as you're not going too hot. I really like to give pork loin that little bit of time, and I gotta tell you, for this, it worked great. So if you're looking to make one of your own rubs, if you're doing a pork loin or any other sort of pork dish, don't hesitate to try grinding up one of your favorite nuts, a walnut or pecan like I used. It goes terrific with it, and it really brings a unique flavor to the dish. Oh yeah.